If you enjoy our work, consider making a donation to mixtapestories.net or at Patreon/mixtapestories, all one word. Thank you. Mixtape Stories, creating beautiful fiction in a disappointing timeline.
Welcome to Mixtape Stories. We're really excited because this is our first episode where our story is from a guest author, Tim Melody Pratt. I can't tell you what a catch we got. Tim Pratt, gender fluid, any pronoun, is the author of over 30 novels, including the upcoming The Jewel and the Comet. Pratt is a Hugo Award winner for short fiction and has been a finalist for Nebula, World Fantasy, Sturgeon, Stoker, and other awards. The following story is set in the world of their Marla Mason urban fantasy series, which began with Blood Engines and ended a decade later in Closing Doors. She publishes a new story every month over at www.patreon.com/timpratt, that's with 2 T's, and posts incessantly on Blue Sky as at timpratt.org. And now, without further ado, we present 3 Petitions to the Queen of Hell by Tim Pratt. Marla and Zufi, the reigning queens of hell, were 8 years into a meaningless spat, living more as roommates than lovers, and as a consequence, Marla was irritable and Zufi was bored. The demons and psychopomps who served them stepped lightly, or floated above the ground entirely if they could, and the dead were uneasy, even in their personal paradises. In the mortal world above, crab apples and briars thrived, geese attacked cats without provocation, and dark clouds gathered ominously, only to spit a few half-hearted drops of rain before dispersing. Each queen was sure the other should apologize first, but queens are stubborn by necessity, and neither was ready to yet swallow pride in exchange for peace. Still, Zufi was bored enough to look across the breakfast table, which resembled the ugly stump of a huge petrified tree because it was Marla's turn to choose the decor, and said,
"I'm going to open the pathways and passages and secret trains."
She broke the yolk of her egg and watched it run across the plate towards the rosemary potatoes and waited for her wife's long silence to break. Marla was sipping bitter coffee, and she made a face to match.
We'll be overrun by idiot mortals on idiot quests.
I am supposed to remind you what it means to be mortal, but it has been so long since I was born and thought about dying that I have forgotten how to remember to do the reminding.
Zufi's blonde hair was swept into a crown of braids. Her lips were a shade of purple, borrowed from a sea anemone, and she wore a dress of delicate seafoam lace.
And gods are gods. We should be open to prayers and petitions.
Marla's hair was chopped short and ragged, and she wore a ratty old dark purple bathrobe with white lining inside. She sealed up the passages from the world of the living because she valued her privacy, and she stopped acknowledging the rituals of the necromancers because she found them distasteful. But she shrugged.
As long as you take the meetings.
I will take some of the meetings, and you will take the ones I do not take.
But here's the thing, I don't want to.
Tyrants do what they will. Queens recognize their duty.
Marla thumped down her cup.
It's not duty, it's tradition. Deals with the devil, petitions, contests, feats of daring, demonstrations of talent. Why? We give the dead a place to spend eternity. We make sure the seasons keep seasoning. Don't we do enough?
Oh, don't be like that.
Zufi then nudged Marla gently.
You can make some monsters to guard the passageways. After all, I think getting to the underworld shouldn't be easy, and you love creating new monsters.
Marla brightened a little at that. She did love the monster creation bit, and she made sure they were particularly fearsome. But after 4 months, someone finally made it through. A mortal woman managed to swim across the Styx by singing a haunting a cappella rendition of Straight Outta Compton that made the ravening eel wolves sway, enchanted in the water with their multitudinous eyes closed. The mortal woman limped on toward their palace, which resembled an immense rusting iron diving helmet because it was Zufi's turn to decorate, so everything looked stupid, and presented herself in the throne room, dripping green water all over the black and red marble.
Are you the ruler of the underworld?
The woman asked, before dropping down to one knee. She had a lovely voice. She was in her mid-20s perhaps, with blue hair and delicate whorls of tattoos crawling down her arms, wearing a torn black tank top and a chunky silver necklace and filthy corduroys and heavy black boots. Marla rolled her eyes as she sat on her throne.
Zufi, you have a guest.
A bandy-legged demon with the head of a goat and a monkey's body covered in short red fur drifted in from the side door.
Zufi went for a swim, madam.
So go get her.
She's not in the pool. She's in the sea primordial.
Marla groaned. Zufi sometimes vanished into the sea of chaos for days at a time, swimming among the ruins of Lemuria and Atlas and Releth and other imaginary places, racing demonic megalodons and chatting with spirits of the abyssal squid and the other sentient sea creatures who had afterlives. Zufi had been a marine biologist in her mortal life and retained her affinity for all things oceanic. Marla looked at the mortal. She had come a long way and bested terrible trials to get here, which ought to count for something.
Okay, fine. What do you want?
She kept kneeling, which annoyed Marla, quite unreasonably.
My girlfriend died. We were hiking and she was stung by a scorpion, which usually isn't fatal, but...
Do me a favor and stand up. So, your girlfriend died. I suppose you want me to bring her back to life, right? What's your girlfriend's name?
Elodie Marie Petit.
Marla rose, rolled her shoulders, lifted her hands as if about to conduct an orchestra, and the whole room went black. Marla's crown of ice glowed, casting cold white light onto the petitioner, who was looking around with more interest than fear. After getting past Marla's guardians, a little darkness wasn't likely to scare her. A shimmering bubble about 6 feet across drifted towards them, the color of desert sand.
Here she is, dead 2 weeks. Let's see how her afterlife looks.
Marla reached down and took the petitioner's hand and then walked her through the wall of the bubble. They stood high on the edge of the canyon, under a deep red sky. A young woman with dark skin and locked hair stumbled through the shadowy depths far below, the rocks and the floor around her swarming with scorpions.
Hannah! Hannah, help me, I'm lost!
I'm hoping you're Hannah.
Marla asked. It would have been embarrassing if her lover was crying out for someone else. The petitioner ignored her and started to scramble down the rocks. Marla sighed, grabbed her by the arm, and pulled her back out of the bubble. Hannah tried to yank her arm free, which was funny, and Marla dispersed the darkness and the bubble with a wave.
Well, that didn't go according to plan. I was hoping to show you that Miss Petty was having the time of her afterlife down here and didn't need rescuing, but she must have some heavily unresolved issues if that's the afterlife she came up with.
Hannah stared at the empty space where the bubble had been.
She died right there in front of me. The coroner said she must have been allergic.
Brutal. Okay, you know her body is no good now, right? The stuff they do in mortuaries? Oof.
She was cremated.
Even worse.
Can't you restore her?
I could, but I'd have to go up there and mess with her ashes, and that's not happening because I do bad things to everyday reality, being a god. People go mad, there are disasters, monsters spontaneously generate. It's a mess. I'm radioactive, magically speaking. But what I could do is shape a bit of primordial chaos into a duplicate of your girlfriend's body, maybe without the whole allergy problem, and stick her soul in the new body and send you both back up to live out your lives.
You'll do that?
I said I could, not that I would. What's in it for me?
I can sing. I charmed the beasts and guardians.
No thanks. We've got, Pavarotti down here. Amy Winehouse. We're good, singing-wise.
Hannah took a deep breath, like it might be her last.
Do you want my life for hers?
I don't need more dead people. We've got plenty. There's not any kind of balance I need to maintain either. Putting her soul in a new body, it's fine. It's really just a loan anyway. She'll be back. I can't do this kind of thing for everyone, obviously. It would just get even more crowded up there, and I'd never get a moment's rest, which would irritate me, and the seasons would go to hell. Honestly, most people like it fine down here. Their afterlives are nicer than their original lives. Elodie, though, I don't know what her deal is being so caught up in her last moments like that.
Marla thought it over.
Okay, I can do this, but there has to be a cost. I'm a bargaining sort of god. You have to do something for me, and no, I don't need your life. I need something valuable.
Like what?
Marla wrinkled her forehead.
Have you ever been to Portland?
Maine or Oregon?
The one where all the tattoo artists go to retire and they ride double-decker unicycles and...
Oh, you mean Oregon.
So, you've been there.
Plenty. I'm from Seattle, actually.
Well, nobody's perfect. Anyway, there's a place with great ice cream.
Salt and straw?
Salt and straw's good, but I'm thinking of Cloud City. I'd love to get a pint of something from there.
So that's it? You want me to get you some ice cream?
I can't go get it myself. Last time I dropped by there, it got weird quick, and not in a good way. The nation nearly fell into an abyss, authoritarians got in power, the opposition got all dressed up in frog costumes.
Hannah stared.
So you want me to go up there and get you ice cream from Cloud City? Okay. What flavor?
No, that's the thing. You have to surprise me. I can conjure up ice cream down here any kind I want, but that means I'm never surprised. And if I ask my wife, Zufi, to conjure it for me, it's always something weird and gross. One time she made seaweed ice cream. Vile. No, bring me something tasty, something I don't expect. Pack it in dry ice so it won't melt, then come back. Oh, and bring me a piece of your girlfriend. Hair from a brush, toenail clippings, even a shirt she sweated in real hard if that's the best you can do. Just something of her body.
Then you'll restore Elodie to life?
A bargain's a bargain. Gods have to stick to them. Now, shoot.
Zufi was right, Marla thought. This was kind of amusing. Once Marla was sure Hannah was out of the underworld, she made new monsters. And this time, she made them all hate music, except for Bro Country. Terrible monsters. A week later, Hannah was back, kneeling in the throne room. There was a big chunk of her hair missing, and blood was all down her face.
The monsters don't like singing anymore,
She said.
No, they don't. They were supposed to pick you up in their jaws and fling you back upstairs. How did you get past them?
I used the sword.
What sword?
Hannah reached over behind her back and unsheathed an arming sword from behind her hip. With the other hand, she produced an axe.
I thought your monsters were too monstery and not sporting, so I modified my tactics.
Zufi then appeared in a shimmering of sparkles, like sunlight on water, and inspected the mortal's unusual choice of weapons.
You chose to confront our fiercest demons with nothing but medieval weaponry?
Elodie and I were regulars over at Ren Fair.
Oh, I like this one,
Zufi said as she sat on the throne next to Marla.
Huh.
Marla said.
Well, all right, you worked for it, Hannah. Did you bring the thing?
Hannah got to her feet and carried over a cooler full of dry ice. A paper pint of ice cream nestled inside. Marla opened it. Yellow ice cream with purplish swirls and black specks.
What's this?
Lemon with black pepper Marionberry jam.
That sounds horrible.
Marla conjured a spoon. The handle was shaped like a seahorse because Zufi was still doing her decor. Ugh. Took a bite, made a face, swallowed, and put the ice cream on the arm of the throne.
Blech.
A bargain is a bargain.
Yes, I know. All right, come on.
Marla rose and beckoned to Hannah while Zufi picked up the ice cream and began to eat it with apparent relish. They went through the door and immediately down a spiraling staircase. They descended in silence, Hannah moving slowly, clearly in some pain from her ordeal. They reached the bottom after a long time. The stairs led to a round stone room lit by torches. A pool of silver liquid shimmered on the floor.
Toss the toenail clippings or whatever in there.
Hannah reached into her pocket and came out with a snipped-off lock of hair and dropped it into the pool. Marla focused a bit of her intention, and the silvery chaos churned. A moment later, a woman's body floated to the surface. Elodie, identical to her mortal form on the last day of her life in every apparent detail, naked and whole.
Don't just gawk. Pull her out.
Hannah struggled to drag the body out of the pool. While she was doing so, Marla reached into the pool just enough to wet her fingers, then brushed them across Hannah's scalp and arm. The woman gasped as the chaos spread across and healed her injuries, even restoring her torn-out chunks of hair. She looked up at Marla.
Thank you.
I usually handle the destroyer goddess side of things, but I don't want you bleeding all over my sacred wellspring of chaos.
Hannah touched Elodie's face.
Why isn't she awake?
That's just a shell. Let me pour in the filling.
Marla summoned the sand-colored bubble. this time much smaller, no bigger than a fist, and sent it drifting down to touch the new body's forehead. The bubble popped, and Elodie's eyes opened and gasped as she took her first breath.
Oh, Elodie! My sweet Elodie!
Hannah started kissing her all over the face.
How are you going to handle the whole returned from the dead thing? People will have questions.
Hannah chuckled and broke out into joyous tears as Elodie slowly came to.
I don't know. We'll think of something. We'll say she was in a coma and there was a clerical error. They cremated the wrong person. I don't know. She'll be alive indisputably. We'll come up with something.
Good enough, I suppose.
Marla waved her hand and they vanished, returned to Earth. She then climbed all the way back up the stairs instead of just reappearing in the throne room because she wanted to think. She and Zufi had been going on a spat for over 8 years. She had forgotten what had started it. Seeing the lengths Hannah was willing to go through and the joy of being returned to Elodie reminded her of what was important. When she reached the dais, she found Zufi sitting on her throne of coral, finishing up the ice cream.
Say what you want about mortals. They sure make good ice cream.
Zufi said. Marla nodded. She then leaned in close to Zufi.
Hey, I'm sorry about, that whole thing.
Zufi inclined her head regally.
I am sorry as well.
Marla gestured towards the cooler.
Want to go throw some dry ice in the river Styx?
Ooh, let's!
About a dozen years later, Zufi interrupted Marla's reading of the posthumous novel by Balzac, who wrote obsessively in the afterlife as he did when he was alive, and said,
You have a petitioner.
Marla closed the book, which vanished, and sat up in the hammock of silken thread.
That's the third mortal to make it down here in the past decade. We're not making it hard enough. Can't you deal with them?
I took care of the last two. They were boring secret wanters and justice seekers. Nothing fun.
Zufi smiled, and her eyes twinkled in a literal sense. Marla felt a surge of affection and lust. Things were good. In the world above, summer was lush in one hemisphere, and winter was mild in the other, and the air was sweeter than usual everywhere.
Besides, this one is all yours, because it was yours before in a reversal.
What does that mean?
Marla demanded, but Zufi already melted. Marla stepped through a shadow into the throne room. She immediately recognized the mortal standing before her.
Well, if it isn't Miss Petty, 12 years older.
The last time Marla saw Elodie, she had just resurrected her from the dead for Hannah, who had to go through the literal gates of hell to get Marla to do it.
Did you kill my demons to get here?
No, ma'am, I didn't need to. I answered the riddles.
Marla had endeavored to fortify the passages to hell to keep the number of petitioners down to a minimum. But Zufi kept hiding swords and shields and things along the secret passageways. So Marla had switched the nature of the demons to create a more intellectual barrier. Riddles.
Are you saying you answered all 3 questions?
Elodie shook her head.
I got one of the riddles wrong. It didn't make any sense. Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Nobody reads the classics anymore. There are like 3 answers my beast would have accepted, but if you couldn't come up with one, how are you here?
Elodie shrugged.
The creature that asked was a giant owlbear thing, and it said it was hungry. And Hannah told me you liked ice cream, so I fed it the Thai coconut ice cream I got for you, and it let me by.
Yeah, my guardians are vulnerable to bribery. That's the problem with creating creatures capable of independent thought. All right, so you're here. What are you doing in my underworld? Come to return the body I made you? It's not a lease. You can't trade it in for a newer model.
Elodie knelt, head bowed.
It's Hannah. She died. There was a fire in a club. The roof collapsed and...
She began to sob. Marla wasn't good with emotions, and she didn't like it when people cried on her carpet like that. It was a rented carpet.
There. Okay. Please don't. Hey, you got an extra dozen years together, so I'd say be grateful and all that.
Hannah's all that I care about.
And you want me to bring her back to life? After she brought you back to life? Doesn't that feel a little unoriginal?
The fact that Hannah did it just proves there's precedent.
Okay. Let's look.
Marla darkened the room and summoned Hannah's bubble, which rippled the yellow of flames. Not promising. She poked her head in, leaving Elodie outside, and saw about what she expected. Fire, devastation, and Hannah stumbling in the smoke, screaming herself hoarse, calling out her lover's name forever. Marla withdrew and banished the afterlife.
Most people who aren't racked by terrible guilt have pretty nice afterlives. What is it with you two?
We need each other. We're in love, and we can't be happy without each other.
Talk about codependency issues.
What can I do to get her back? I can go get you more ice cream.
What? No, it has to be harder. This is a resurrected person trying to resurrect another person. It's not the kind of thing I want to encourage.
Elodie lifted her gaze. Her eyes were dark, deep, and sad.
How about this? What are you good at?
Formulating public health policy for underserved rural areas?
Oh, doesn't lend itself to a fiddle contest, does it?
I have a law degree. I could provide legal services.
Marla brushed Elodie's suggestion aside.
We've got plenty of lawyers down here, but you know paperwork. There's a bunch of files that have been stacking up. I tried tasking demons to work on them, but, well, chaos is their substance. Chaos is their nature. So, what do you say?
You want me to do filing?
Sure. It might take you a while. This is a period of service type thing. Come out when the job is done, and you get Hannah back.
I'll do it, of course.
Marla led her down a corridor and flung open a door. The interior was a vast and dark warehouse, full of filing cabinets stretching 15 feet high in rows that seemed infinite. The drawers were mostly half open, and papers were scattered 6 inches deep all over the floor.
It's files on mortal lives, mostly. Some dossiers on supernatural creatures, a few tomes and grimoires. About 150,000 people die each day, so the files are going to keep piling up.
It's impossible. No one could do all that.
Marla shrugged.
So, it's a no?
Elodie glared at her.
I didn't say that.
Marla shut the door on her. She locked the file room in a bubble of dilated and diluted time, an eternity in an hour sort of thing. A few moments later, the door opened and Elodie emerged. She was older by at least a few years, and she was wearing different clothes, which was strange. She gestured.
It is done.
Marla looked. The filing cabinets were all neat, with no paper on the floor.
I set up a system for filing new information when it arrives, too.
How did you manage all that?
I looked for the tomes and grimoires first, learned to manipulate chaos, first well enough to make food and clothing, then enough to conjure simple servitors.
You made your own demons?
They don't have minds like yours do. Or the tendency toward chaos and independent thought. They're more like robotic vacuum cleaners than living things, but they can alphabetize.
Marla whistled. It looked like AI was coming for hell as well.
Okay. Damn. Let's go get your Hannah.
Not long after she resurrected Hannah for resurrected Elodie and plopped them back up in the world, Marla rolled over in their ridiculous bed. It was the size and shape of an ancient Egyptian pleasure barge because it was Zufi's turn, and gave Zufi a shake.
What is it, hun?
Did you give that petitioner help in the file room?
Zufi gave a sheepish grin.
I hid in the ceiling and dropped a better book on the conjuration of simple spirits on her head, yes. But I made her work for lots of subjective months first.
You used to spend all your time with fish and wet rocks. How did you turn into such a romantic?
You must have done it to me.
Zufi said, and they enjoyed each other's company for a while. Nearly 50 years had passed as humans recognized time before Zufi rose up and broke the surface of the hot spring where Marla soaked, in a tributary of the river Plethagon. The sky was just really a space overhead with a vast metaphysical cavern of the underworld, was full of streaking stars. Far more souls plunging towards their afterlives in the primordial sea than was typical in a usual day. Must be a war happening or some kind of bad natural disaster. She and Zufi hadn't been fighting, but sometimes bad things happened up there anyway. Their relationship was just one factor, and mostly impacted the weather. Maybe Marla would send down a demon or one of the souls she had working off a debt of evil to look into the current affairs. She tried not to meddle in mortal business, but sometimes, if the world was getting off track, she gave things a nudge. She told herself it was pragmatism. If humans destroyed themselves utterly, after all, she would be out of a job. Marla and Zufi were soaking in a sulfur pool after a long day of sorting out afterlives, when there was a ring by the entrance. Zufi summoned up an image and smiled.
You have a visitor, an old friend.
Who?
Someone you've known a long time, a mortal. Her name is Hannah.
Marla groaned and sank into the water and bubbled up through the briefly liquid floor of her throne room. Hannah was there, much older, and she didn't kneel. Instead, leaning on a cane.
Catch,
She said, and tossed a small carton of ice cream at Marla, who snatched it out of the air.
Not Cloud City, but I guess that rupture on the Cascadia subduction zone put them out of business. We held it off as long as we could.
No, it's homemade. Plain vanilla, but good. Made with real vanilla beans. Those are hard to get lately.
How did you get down here? Those passageways are supposed to be almost impossible these days. We haven't had a petitioner in a dozen years.
You get a little wiser with age. This time I hired a bunch of trivia experts, philosophers, and martial artists to escort me. I left them back on the other side of the river.
Marla snorted.
Right. Let me guess. A piano fell on Elodie.
No, cancer. In her bones.
Oh. I removed her scorpion allergy. What did you expect? Eternal youth and immortality? And for a pint of ice cream, and does this have pepper in it? Come on. And to resurrect an old body like that, she would just get cancer again anyway.
You misunderstand, Majesty.
Hannah dropped her cane and struggled down to her knees.
I don't want you to bring her back to life. I want to die too.
Marla frowned.
Not an unprecedented choice in your circumstances, but you didn't need to come all the way down here for that. You can die just fine upstairs. Plenty of people do it every day.
I've seen what the afterlife is like. I saw Elodie's and she saw mine. They're bubbles, each one separate, right?
Every soul gets their own little island of chaos to shape as they see fit, or as their subconscious dictates. It can be hell or paradise, or an imitation of life, or anything in between. It's an elegant system, nicely self-regulating for the most part.
Hannah shook her head.
I don't want that. I don't want to be separated from Elodie for all eternity.
Look, in your bubble, you can create a version of her. A perfect version. One that never has bad breath or farts in bed or...
Marla trailed off under Hannah's stare. She sighed.
Yes, I get it. But what do you want from me?
Put us in the same bubble.
Marla stared at her. She sensed Zufi's arrival and turned.
Did you hear this?
Zufi nodded.
I did.
I mean, could we?
We are queens. We can do whatever exists within our duty. Perhaps not one bubble. That would be tricky. But two with a point of overlap in the middle, so they could have their own spaces with together space between.
Marla imagined a Venn diagram, 2 circles, merged with an independent space on either side, but a shared space in the middle. She glanced at the carton.
I do like vanilla bean ice cream.
Will you do it?
You're sure you want to die?
I've had a good life, and without Elodie, I know my best days are behind me. I'm sick anyway. Not as bad as she was, but it's a matter of time, and not that much of it.
This can't be emotionally healthy. I like self-reliance. But you don't have to be like me.
Marla took a sudden step forward, seized Hannah's head, and twisted it hard. The old woman's body fell to the floor of the throne room.
Emotionally healthy or not, that was as romantic as rose petals and Eiffel Towers and candy hearts,
Zufi said. Marla gestured. The space went dark, and 2 bubbles floated in, each about 6 feet across. One was bright blue, the other dark brown, and they floated slowly together, bumped into each other, and then merged about halfway. The result was oddly beautiful, a double-domed shape that floated and spun. Marla ducked her head inside, and Zufi did the same alongside her. No fire, no scorpions, no screaming. Gardens and music and shouts of joyful reunion. They pulled back, and with a flick of her hand, Marla sent the conjoined afterlives spinning into the primordial depths with all the other afterlives.
Those two. They're codependent, is what they are.
Maybe we are codependent. They are, I think, in love.
Marla reached over and took her wife's hand.
We could make ourselves separate palaces, maybe, instead of taking turns decorating this one and arguing about it all the time.
And a third palace where we could be together in together times?
That would be nice.
Can this time be together times?
Marla pulled her close.
Yes. Bring the ice cream. Mixtape Stories hopes you enjoyed this podcast. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. You can find out more about us on our website, mixtapestories.net.
The role of Marla was played by Marjorie Trace Juge. The following are available on Fiverr. Zufi played by Ellen C., Hannah by Sky Alley, and Elodie Petit by Kelly. Most of the background music was provided by Mixkit and Veslian Studios. In this episode, you also heard Dream of the 90s by Carrie Brownstein, You're Meant for Me by Jewel, and Apocalypse by Cigarettes After Sex.